Okay, we're remaining on page 26, the graph paper tool, and we're about to do the next phase of our business card project. So we'll go back a page, copy to the clipboard the last place we're up to, Control C, and then forward a page and Control V, paste it down. Now don't forget, I've always created a sample on every page, so if you need to zoom in tight to have a look at what I've done there as a reminder, just remember you can do that. And we're going to zoom in nice and tight to our card right here so you can see what I'm doing. Let's select the graph paper tool, and I want to go with 8 by 8. Now the idea here is I want my graph paper tool to line up with the edges of this portion of the design here. So hover your mouse until you get that little node lock in the center, click and drag, finger on Control and Shift, so we're sizing from the center perfectly. And once you lock to the edge, just make sure your mouse is right on the edge. As you can see, it lines up there like that. That looks to me like it's actually over the edge a little bit. I don't know that I know why, but I'd say we're out of sizing a little somewhere. And this kind of stuff happens, all right? Here's a few things I would do first of all in this situation. Select my graph paper. Try that again. Now finger on Shift and I'll select my spiral behind. And I'm going to hit E and C on my keyboard. Now, did you see what happened? I'll undo that, Control Z and Control Z. Notice how the graph paper moves, E and C. Now, why is that? I'm actually jumping forward a lesson. I'm actually doing an alignment thing. E means to line up horizontally with the second object selected. C means to line up center vertically to the second object selected. I hope that's not too advanced for where we're at right now. But effectively, I selected the graph tool, finger on Shift, selected the spiral tool, so the spiral, I should say, not tool. So the spiral was the second thing I selected. Okay, so E and C on your keyboard. E aligns my graph to the spiral horizontally, center horizontally. C aligns my graph to the spiral vertically. Okay? Hope that helped. All right, now I'm going to select my graph paper and right click on the color blue, and the outline thickness is too thick for me. Now in this particular situation we don't have an outline thickness appear in the property bar up here, so there's another way to do this. You're actually learning a lot here. The third tool up from the bottom is what we call the outline pen. Click on the little fly out and you can see other thickness options. In fact, let me just do that again for you. I'm just going to pop up. Let me just try that again. There we go. So now you can actually see all of the options that are there. I simply want to go with, say, 0.5. I want it to be a lot thinner. And that suits this design better, I think, don't you? Can you see how my blue is just over the outside of the black? We might have to do something with that shortly. But anyway, we now need to put this on the appropriate stacking order because I don't want it on top. I want it just above my spiral. So what I'm going to do is right click in the center and I'm going to choose order, and in front of, I'm going to click on the purple because I want you to see the effect if the graph paper goes behind the spiral. Can you see that where the spiral crosses over, you kind of get a cool effect. Now I played around with that as being an interesting idea, and I eventually gave up on it because I thought, oh, no, I don't like it. So I want to come up just above the spiral. So Control, page up, remember that brings you up one in the stacking order. So now I'm directly above the spiral. Or of course, I could have right-clicked, gone order, and in front of, and then clicked right on the edge of the spiral to get the same thing. Okay, so now I want to create a duplicate, so plus, although for you who are having to use Control C and V, I'll do it that way. Control C and Control V. I want you to see that it actually puts it on the top of the stacking order. So we need to now obviously send that back in the order again. But before we do, we want to rotate. So click again to bring up the rotation handles, finger on Control. Remember that gives me 15-degree increments. And watch up here on my property bar and you can see where we're up to. And really what I was actually looking for is to just rotate a perfect 45. Now I'll undo that, and had I rotated in the other direction, you would have seen it's actually 45 degrees. See that? Now what we'll do is put it in the right place in the stacking order. So again, right click and order, and in front of, and this time I'll click the other blue graph paper. There we go. So there's a few steps to this one, and actually a few interesting things to learn, isn't there? Well, I'm going to do a few things now. First of all, what I'm going to do is round the four corners of the bottom graph. So, Shape Tool. Now, before I taught you to ungroup. I'm not going to ungroup this time because that can become a little messy with all these little squares everywhere. So what I'm going to do is show you how to select in amongst a group. Finger on Control. Okay? And you can select then an object inside of a group. Now, if I had my pick tool selected, I could do the same thing. Finger on Control, and I can select an object inside a group of objects. Now, if I don't put my finger on Control and I click, I select the whole of the group of objects. Finger on Control, and I can select individually. See that? Cool. Let's grab the Shape tool. Finger on Control, click, select that corner, and round. Finger on Control, click the corner, and round. Oops. Didn't select the corner I wanted to round. Finger on Control, and there we go. Okay, now what I will do is just quickly F4 so that I can remember the colors I used. I went red and blue. Okay, so what I want to do, again, finger on Control, select the corner, blue, finger on Control, select the corner, blue, finger on Control, and red, finger on Control, and red. Now what I want to do is delete some of the squares I don't want to see inside of this. So again, finger on Control and delete. Now in some ways it could be easier to ungroup this and do it, and that way I could just multiply select a whole bunch of them and then hit the delete key. But the thing is, what happens is when you do that, you'll end up with all of these really little individual objects everywhere that should you want to make a change, you've got to go kind of select them all one at a time. And so I'm kind of saving myself that problem for later by doing it this way. So this is long-winded. I do want to say to you, finger on Control, selecting the object and deleting it, kind of a long way around, but that's okay. It's good for developing your motor skills for working with CorelDraw. Now, I'm just going to select that one there and finger on Control, that one there. I want to create that square thing up looking through there. Look, there might have been another way to do this, but I really am wanting you to get used to dealing with groups of objects and some of the stranger things that we sometimes have to deal with when working with a graphics program. Okay, so there's my design. So you can see I kind of have those squares going in through there. Not much, a lot of it's hidden by the design, but I do have that little corner there. Hey, what if I didn't want the little corner? I might simply choose to delete that. I might think that that's maybe not right, so I'll delete that one. Now, can you see how my blue is sort of just below or just on the outside of the black outline there? Let me zoom in a bit closer. You can see it's on the outline just there. Look, I mean, I'm being very fussy and pedantic now, and resizing that down will be hard. So what I would do is select it, and again, this is why ungrouping would be bad. I can still select it as a group, and I might just drop this back to, say, 99%. Now, with my lock on, it'll resize from the center. Just hit enter, and you see how it all just compressed down a little bit? I'll undo it, Control Z. See that? Now I'll redo, Control Shift and Z redoes. See that? And I think that fits and looks a whole lot better. Hey, there was a lot we did just then, really, a lot more to that than you probably thought there was going to be. So see how you go with that, and don't forget when you're finished, actually save. You might need to make some notes for this one.